Professor Pablo Abitbol. He's gonna make some remarks. He's a professor of the Tecnológica University of Bolívar, and he's part of the memory group. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. Thank you to the university and especially to my dear friend Andres Casas for inviting me. Thank you, Rebecca, Samantha Wilson, for those presentations. They were very inspiring. I'm going to speak in English to make the remarks to the professors that are in the United States. So you may use your translation devices if you need them. And I'm just going to say the following. Rebecca, Samantha Wilson, muchas gracias por sus presentaciones inspiradoras e ilustrativas. Cuando me invitaron a este seminario, pensaba,
what is the relationship between neuroscience and peace? Because this is called neuropeace. Brain and peace. And in a flash of remembrance and memory, I remember once when I was teaching Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan, my favorite book, Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes, 1651, possibly the first political scientist in history. And what came to my mind was that the way I taught Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan, the argument, was that I started in one extreme of the whiteboard. I think then there were blackboards. We had chalk with a brain. Because Thomas Hobbes starts his Leviathan with the brain of the individual. And then I started explaining Thomas Hobbes' argument, and I ended up in the other extreme of the blackboard with the state, which is the image of the Leviathan in Thomas Hobbes. And then I realized, since the beginning of my discipline, which is political science, the brain and the state, which for Hobbes has the main aim of producing peace between people, has been there. So what I feel that is happening now is that we're closing a historic circle in the inquiry about the relationship between human nature and peace building through social institutions. So listening to Rebecca and Samantha and Wilson, what do we hear? We hear about elites. For example, these priests who tell people that we should not kill each other, and we hear about media interventions, and we hear about intergroup interactions. So what we're listening is about power relationships, elites, organizations, institutions. So finally, I think that what Rebecca, Samantha, and Wilson are telling us is that in the same way as this preacher can invite us to be peaceful, preachers can invite us to be conflictual. In the same way that media can invite us to reconcile, media can instill hate and prejudices in ourselves. So the gist of the arguments and the research and the results that we heard today, for me, as a political scientist, represent that closure of the historic circle between 1651 and today as the Hobbesian project of reconciling an idea of human nature with an idea of peace via social institutions. And it also reminded me about the project which we have been working on for at least a couple of decades with Andrés Casas, which we are now with one of our mentors called Crisóstomos Manzavinos naming cognitive institutionalism, which is how institutions ingrain in the cognitive and emotional devices provided by human nature. So that's what I wanted to say. I just wanted to say why I felt these presentations today were so illuminating and inspiring for me. Thank you very much.